Hey everybody, good evening. This is Chintwa, your happiness specialist, coming to you live from New York. Welcome to another episode of our coffee shop chat. This is a late video. I wasn't actually going to do a live video today, but I just came back from Bible study, and I actually that's what inspired me to do this video. The idea came from my pastor who was so wise to share this topic that I'm going to share with you. So the title of this video is the 3 steps to get out of the wilderness. The 3 steps to get out of the wilderness. So when you come on, let me know where you are living in from. I will give you a shout out. If you get some value from this video, go ahead and share the video. Just in case you're seeing me for the first time, I'm actually doing this from my personal profile. I normally do my videos from my fan page, but today I'm doing it from my personal profile. What do I do here? I help you redesign your life to fulfill its divine purpose, because every single one of us has a divine purpose, right? So my target audience is basically law enforcement personnel. If you're retired or thinking about retiring and you have no idea what to do with yourself after that, after maybe working 20, 25, 30 years or whatever, and you still have the passion to help other people, I'm here for you. Or if you're a veteran, you put in your time, you served your country, and now you looking to, use the rest of your time to still continue to help other people. If you're wondering what to do with your time, feel free to reach out to me. Hey, Brother Chris, good to see you. Welcome. Elvira, good to see you. Let me see if I want to invite some people, see if more people could join us here. I believe, yes, I'm going to invite everybody. So bear with me. Brother Chris was at the Bible study, and he doesn't know. I guess he knows, because as I'm listening to the pastor talk, I always have ideas. I love to share the knowledge that he imparts, to us, even either at the regular church service or at our Bible study. So tonight's topic is from the Bible study, the 3 steps to get out of getting out of the wilderness. Now, what am I talking about? Wilderness. Now, am I talking about a physical wilderness? Yes and no. But what I'm talking about mainly here is a mental wilderness, the mental prison that we find ourselves in sometimes, the mental box that we put ourselves in. And where I'm borrowing this story is because we did we did the study on the book of Exodus in the Bible, right? If you're familiar with the Bible, the Exodus is where Moses helped bring the Israelites out of Egypt, to get them out of Pharaoh's country, save them from being persecuted, right? Hey, Nicole, good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Yeah, we're talking about the 3 steps to getting out of the wilderness. If you're a reader of the Bible, if you're a believer in the Word, you would appreciate this, because it's an interesting topic, but I'm going to weave it in for you to make sense for you. If you are a marketer, if you are an affiliate marketer, if you're in a home business, or whatever it is, in whatever area of your life you happen to be, it doesn't even have to be in business, because even every single day we find ourselves in the wilderness, inside of our heads, without even knowing, and without even knowing that we are putting ourselves, or that we've got ourselves in the wilderness, in prison, in our minds. So I'm going to give you, hey, Reinhold, good to see you. Welcome, brother. Good to see you here. Thank you for being here. Appreciate the reactions. If you have some people you want to, join us, go ahead and invite them. All right, I'm just going to dive right in. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of your time. I know it's past 10 p.m. Eastern time, unless you're, of course, on the West Coast. By all means, we'll hang out. So what are the 3 steps of getting out of the wilderness? Now, I'm talking. Listen, if you if you've never been in the wilderness before, I'm going to share a quick story with you. When I was a kid growing up in Nigeria, in West Africa, we used to go at night in the forest. I'm talking, I know in the West they call it jungle, but in this case, we call it the forest. Now, what we used to do at night, we used to have, our kerosene lamps, filled with kerosene, and, if you remember the old kerosene lamps, because we didn't have, battery powered torches in flashlights or anything like that. We had the kerosene lamps. So we used to go out in the forest and hunt for snails. Yes, snails, big giant snails like, this big. If my brother is watching this, he'll remember what I'm talking about. So that kind of wilderness, you can easily get lost in it. You can easily get lost in it if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know where you are, if you don't know, which is, east, west, or whatever. But there used to be a whole group of us. Sometimes we'll go in a group of 10, or more people, and we'll stay pretty close together so we don't all get lost. And at the end of the night, we'll count how many snails each and every one of us had. And so it used to be a ton of fun. Who else just hopped in? Hey, Kathy, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, so when you hear wilderness, and now when we go back to the book of Exodus in the Bible, the Moses and the Israelites, he got them out of Egypt, through the Red Sea. He parted the water, and they went through the water, and we've read that they were in the wilderness, on their way to the promised land for 40 years. Right. So you would imagine that here's a group of people that they were being persecuted in Egypt. Right. And someone got them. Someone was appointed their guide, their leader, to lead them out of that persecution. Right. They were second, third class citizens in Egypt, but God had a promised land for them in Israel where he directed Moses to lead them into. Right? You would imagine that these people would be grateful, but there came a point where they were not. They were doing everything contrary to God's, order, God's direction. So if you find yourself in the wilderness right now I'm talking metaphorically, not a physical wilderness, but a mental wilderness, be it in your business, be it in your personal life, and whatever it is that you may be doing, be it at work. I'm going to give you the 3 steps to help you get out of that. All right. You're ready? If you're ready, just drop a 1 in the comment stream and I'll go right ahead and start sharing what I wrote down here. All right. The first step to getting out of the wilderness is 1, be grateful. You got to be grateful in all things, even when you are having the roughest time of the day, the roughest time of the week, the roughest time of the month, the roughest time of the year. Because even though you're going through something, in that given year, there has to be something else that worked out in your favor, that God did you a favor, that someone did you a favor, that you can't just simply forget, and that something good happened to you in your life where you end up concentrating on what didn't go right. All right. So be grateful, because what happened to the Israelites, right? After they crossed the Red Sea, right? The water didn't swallow them. The water swallowed Pharaoh's soldiers and everything, but they walked through the path. Right? Remember when Moses, struck the sea with his staff, and the sea parted in 2, and they walked right through. And as they were going through, the Egyptian soldiers were running after them, and the sea was closing and drowned all those soldiers. But they made it out on the other side. Right? Would you imagine being ungrateful after that? Because as soon as they crossed the sea, what was the first thing that they complained about? They said, Moses, what in the hell? You brought us out here with no food. Where's the food? We're going to be out here without food? See? Ingratitude. They showed profound ingratitude, especially after having gotten out of Pharaoh's grips, after being treated like second-class citizens. No gratitude. And this is what they wanted, right? But here, they left Egypt. Now they're they're in this place, but instead of being grateful, they started complaining. They started whining. They're like, hey, Ramon, good to see you. Latinx, thank you for being here. Yeah, we're talking about the 3 steps to getting out of the wilderness. In this case, we're talking about mental wilderness. All right. So they were complaining. So you don't want to be like them. So the first step to getting out of the wilderness right now is to be grateful. Be grateful, unlike the Israelites, after they got out of Egypt, right? Does that make sense? If it makes sense to you, just drop number 2 in the comment stream so I know it resonates with you, right? So the second step to getting out of the wilderness is you have to be, I can't stress this anymore. You have to be obedient. You have to be obedient to the word, obedient to whatever, your vision is, whatever the direction your life leads you, you got to be obedient, right? Because what happened when Moses went out to the mountain to get further instructions from God, right? By the time he came back, guess what was happening? His brother was, they built their own, God. They built a golden calf they were worshiping, right? Even though this golden calf did not get them out of the wilderness, the persecution by Pharaoh. It did not get them out of that. But instead of worshiping God as they were waiting for Moses' return, they were worshiping an idol. And this is one of the commandments that God said, do not worship any other gods but me. Right? So they were disobedient. And because they were disobedient, things didn't go right. Right? So in order to get out of your own wilderness, you have to be obedient. You have to be obedient to that promise you made yourself that, hey, you know what, this business, I'm going to see it through. This thing that I just started, I'm going to see it through no matter how difficult it gets, no matter what everybody's telling me, no matter what obstacles that I come across, that I have to be obedient in it to see it through, to be victorious, to come out of the end of it the victor instead of the victim. All right, does that make sense? If it makes sense, just drop a 2 for me in the comment stream. Right? So they were disobedient, but in your case, you got to be obedient, because if you are obedient, that's the second step to getting out of your wilderness, whatever that wilderness happens to be for you right now. All right, it could be a wilderness of maybe you found something that you want to do, and the 2 sides of your mind are tugging at you. One saying, do it. The other one says, don't do it because it's too difficult, right? The other one says, oh, you know what? You can't do it because you don't know how to build capture pages, or I'm just throwing examples, right? So you have to be obedient, all right? Because obedience is one step that is going to help you get out of that wilderness. Does that make sense? Right? The third step to getting out of that mental wilderness is, guess what? In all of the difficulties, in all of the travails, in all of the journey, in all of the obstacles that you're going to go through, besides being grateful because you got out of a difficult time, besides being obedient, to the one that helped you get out of that difficult time, you have to be patient. Patient. I remember hearing a gentleman years ago. He talked about one of the success principles being patience is the big play. Thank you for the reaction. Hey Moses, good to see you, brother. Bro, I love your video, man. Your video is making waves, in the group. I wish you luck, man. I hope you win. Thanks for being here. We're talking about the 3 steps to getting out of the wilderness. I'm just kind of weaving a Bible story in the book of Exodus to, our everyday life, whatever the wilderness happens to be for you, because it's a mental wilderness that I'm talking about, not a physical one. Right? So the third one is you got to be patient, because you have to be patient, because if you expect everything to work out like instantaneously, like in this day and age, we work with, somebody says we work with a microwave mentality. You know how you put in your food in the microwave to warm it up, and in like 3 minutes, everything is ready. But that's not how life works. That's not how your business is going to prosper. And as a matter of fact, I just got off watching a live stream by, these three awesome ladies in our Laptop Lifestyle Freedom Tribe, Gail Gentry, Valerie Lewis, and Krishana Sykes. They were talking about how they were able to generate $1,000 days, right? They talked about being patient. They talked about, mindset adjustment. They talked about, just being there, being present in their business and not wavering. All right. Growing. So you got to be patient, because if you're not patient, guess what? Everything is going to fall apart. If you tried something, say for example, you heard, okay, they generated $1,000, right? And now you're wondering, okay, how did they do it? And they say, all right, you got to do X, Y, Z. And then you come in and maybe you followed that instruction and did X, Y, Z. If you didn't get the same result, you'll say, it doesn't work. But guess what? In order for it to work for them, they stuck with it, right? They were patient. They kept applying themselves. They kept learning. They kept growing, right? Because if you're not patient, nothing is going to work, all right? You may be, listen, if you look around you, you're going to find examples of people that were patient in their journey. All right. Your Bill Gates, your Steve Jobs, your Jeff Bezos, the list goes on and on and on. Because when they started their business, right, everything didn't work out right away. Everything was not all roses, but they knew they had something. They knew they had something that could serve the public. They knew they had something that was of use, that was of value to people. So they stuck with it. They knew that someday that this thing that they're working on will be the talk of the town, the talk of the city, the talk of the country, and the talk of the world, right? Can you talk to anybody today that doesn't know anything about iPad, iPhone, MacBook, this, MacBook, that, right? You can't. But because of one person's gratitude, obedience, and patience, you're able to have these products today, right? So you got to be patient, all right? I can't stress it enough, all right? So are you guys getting value so far? Did you get value out of everything that I shared with you? If you got value, just drop hashtag value in the comment stream or drop the number 3, all right? So I wanted to come out here this evening. I know it was late to share this message with you because I didn't want to forget it. Because what my pastor, shared with us in the Bible study was, just eye-opening. So I had to come out and share it. So hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully it resonated with you. And just for the sake of everybody that's just hopping on, I'm going to recap the 3 steps to getting out of the wilderness. Because at some point or other, if you're not in any wilderness in your mind right now, you're going to run into a wilderness in your mind. I don't care who you are. If you're human, you're going to run into some kind of wilderness. And I'm talking about a mental wilderness. All right. So how do you get out of that? You got to be grateful. 1, you got to be obedient. 2, and you have to be patient. All right. So that's it. Dokun, good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. If you got value whatsoever, go ahead and share this video. Be a blessing unto someone, because someone out there, hey, Keisha, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Someone out there that maybe it's even you. Maybe you're going through some wilderness situation right now in your own life. Maybe you're in a wilderness in your own life right now, maybe in your personal life, your business, or whatever you happen to be dealing with. All right. Those 3 steps, unlike the Israelites, when they were getting out of Egypt, being led by Moses, they didn't obey. They were not grateful. They were not patient, right? When Moses provided them with manna, they're like, are we going to be eating manna all our days? They were hungry. They got provided with manna. Listen, just be grateful. You got food. You were starving before. Now you got food. But instead of being grateful and saying, thank God, thank you, they were complaining. They were ungrateful little brats, right? So don't be like the Israelites. All right. Hey, Joyce, good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Right. So those are the 3 steps to getting out of the wilderness. Now, if you want to know what I've been doing in my own journey to get out of the wilderness, because I wasn't, for a long time, I was in the wilderness with my business, with my home business, with my marketing, right? I was in the wilderness because I used to wonder, one of my biggest things, one of my biggest wilderness issues was because I used to see everybody generating like a gazillion leads and building their own personal list. And I used to wonder, how is it that they're doing it, right? I want to do that too, right? For the life of me, I couldn't find anybody that showed me how to do that. It wasn't until about 8 months ago when a friend of mine shared with me what she was doing. All right. This goes to speak to the power of making connections, the power of the relationships that you build, either offline or online. Right. This friend of mine said, "Hey, I just saw this thing. I'm working on this thing. Could you take a look?" And I said, "My plate is full." And she said, "Listen, I understand your plate is full. I don't, you don't need to join anything. Just look at it for me. Let me know what you think because I value your opinion." Those were her exact words. And I opened what she sent to me and I started watching this video. As I was watching this video, I realized that, it was nothing like I had ever seen before. There was a gentleman that was doing the presentation. I actually got to meet him the week of the 13th of April in Arizona, right? His name is Misha Wilson. He's the one that was doing the video. And I knew there was something about him. And I knew there was something about the information that he was sharing in that video. And before that video was done, I was signing up. My friend didn't even know, Takia didn't even know that I had signed up. Because what I saw there was something that could finally get me out of the wilderness I had been in 10 plus years before that, right? That changed everything for me, all right? Right now, if you're struggling to learn how to generate leads, because what I learned from that blueprint, from that boot camp was the simple method, it's called the solo ad success formula. It's a simple formula to actually help you generate leads on demand. Anytime you want to generate anywhere from 60 to 300 leads on demand, this formula shows you how to do that. Scout's honor. All right. So after seeing this video, all right, if you want to know what it is, how it helped me, you will never have a problem generating leads on demand ever again. And you can take my word for that. Right. So when I saw that changed everything. Misha Wilson just opened up the book to say, hey, I was in a wilderness too. This could help you get out of your wilderness. And ever since then, I've been obedient, I've been grateful, and I've been patient. And just like my friends were talking about on their live stream earlier, a few minutes before, hey, Lori, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. Nicole, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Yes. So it helped me get out of my wilderness, right? Anytime I want to generate leads, I just apply the success formula, and it's helped me start building my own personal list. Your list. They say the fortune is in the list. I mean, how's that saying go? The money is in the list, and the fortune is in the follow up. Right? It's one thing building a list, but it's another if you don't build a relationship with that list. Right? Following up with. Knowing what to do with that list, right, is where you're going to make your fortune. But first, you have to know and learn how to actually start generating leads that will translate into a list. All right. If that, interests you, if that's something that you've been having a problem doing, if you've been in a wilderness with that, right, just drop a comment. Let me know. I will share the formula with you. I'll even share the system that I've been doing that has changed my home business arena for good, right? Like Valerie Lewis and Gail Gentry and Krishana Sykes, they talked about generating $1,000 days. I never had that in my business life, and God knows how long. At least not until 8 months ago, and I am here to tell you that I've been blessed to have those days as well. And it's just only because of this system, this blueprint, and this success formula that a friend of mine shared with me. And if I wasn't obedient, if I was, to remain in my own wilderness and say, you know what, I know I've been struggling. I know what you're showing me is not going to help me. If I wasn't obedient, I wouldn't be telling you this story right now. I know that for a fact. All right. So if you're looking, hey, Shauna, good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm talking about I was just about to wrap up. We're talking about the 3 steps to getting out of the wilderness. All right. It's an analogy. It's a metaphorical wilderness, and talking about, mental wilderness, because I think sometimes we imprison ourselves in our minds and we have no idea that we're doing that. And we're wondering what is wrong. What is going wrong? Why can't I get out of this? Why am I not making any money like the rest of them? Why am I having a difficult time going through this? Why? Instead of saying, why not me? And trying to find a solution, trying to find an answer to those questions. Instead of being stuck in that wilderness, like Moses, you can lead yourself and others out of Egypt, metaphorically, out of that wilderness into the promised land. All right. So if you want to know what the system is, go ahead and, let me know in the comments. Shoot me a private message. If you and I are not connected yet, send me a friend request. I'll check out your profile. If we gel, I will connect with you. All right. So that's my message. I wanted to share this before I forgot, because what the pastor had to share with us during the Bible study this evening was just totally awesome. So I wanted to share that message with you, and hopefully it helped you. Hopefully it helps you moving forward, right? Because if you are in a wilderness right now, these 3 steps, right? Being grateful, being obedient, and being patient, they will help you get out of your wilderness. All right. So remember this, that everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. So be kind always. And as always, be loving, be loved. God bless you. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your time. Thank you. All right. I got to interrupt that there for a second. Yes. Until the next live, this is Chintwa, your happiness specialist. Go out there and make it an amazing rest of your night. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye for now.